All right, welcome everybody to the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for entrepreneurs. Today, I am your coach and speaker, Andres Ruiz. I'm also your host. And today we have a very special guest, a person that I really look up to, and a person who has helped me out tremendously to stay motivated and inspired to continue on my journey to my goals and my dreams. And this gentleman, his name is Edmund Marquez. He owns 4 Allstate insurance agencies in Tucson, Arizona. He is the largest captive insurance agency in Southern Arizona and one of the largest Hispanic-owned Allstate agencies in the U.S., which I'm really proud of. That's really awesome. And Edmund was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, and attended Sabino High School, Pima Community College, and earned a bachelor's in communications from the University of Arizona. He currently serves on several board of directors, including the Rio Nuevo Multi-Purpose Facilities District, Sun Corridor, Inc., the Southern Arizona Leadership Council, the Reed Park Zoo, is the chairman of the Tucson Metro Chamber and the Arizona Sands Club, and has served as chairman of United Way of Tucson, Southern Arizona, Pima Community College Foundation, and the Tucson Hispanic Chamber. He is also a proud member of the National Leadership Council of the University of Arizona Foundation. So Edmund, man, amazing what you've done. And, he's also was named the Businessman of the Year in 2004 by the Tucson Hispanic Chamber, awarded the Breath of Life Award in 2012 by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, I hope I said that right, and the Father of the Year by the Father's Day Council in 2016. That's a great honor right there. And Edmund has been inducted into the Sabino Hall of Fame, the Pi Kappa Alpha Hall of Honor, and the Southern Arizona YMCA Hall of Fame. Edmund is an avid cyclist, and I can attest to that. He's a powerhouse when it comes to that, with the Gym Click Racing Team, and is a high energy MC for sure of numerous events throughout the Tucson community. Man, whoo, that's some good stuff, man. Welcome to the show, Edmund. I really appreciate you having on, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Andres. Happy to be here. Always great to see you, and I'm so appreciative of all that you do in our community, especially for our youth. So happy to be here. Anytime you call, I answer.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the feeling is mutual for sure. So yeah, let's get this started, man. I really want to get the audience to know you a little bit more. And something that I like to ask my guests is something to kind of brag on themselves a little bit. And I want to ask you, Edmund, what would you say is your superpower?
Gosh, the number one thing people usually tell me they enjoy about me is my energy. So they always say I bring energy, positive energy. So if I had a superpower, that'd probably be it. Probably, and also from the community perspective, and I'd like to say Tucson's one big high school hallway, I would say it's also the connecting of people. I love to introduce great people to each other and see what they can accomplish as now a relationship. So yeah, probably that. Probably energy and the connectivity in our community.
Yeah, I agree too, man, because your energy is fire. Every time that we get together, it's always a great conversation. I'm always motivated. As soon as we leave that room, when we part ways, I'm motivated and inspired for sure. And I really agree that the connections, you made some connections for a lot of amazing people, including myself, that have helped me out tremendously. And I'm really grateful for that. So I definitely agree on that as well. So let's talk about business. And actually, before we talk about business, I want to ask you, like, before you were doing what you're doing now, as an owner, what kind of work were you doing before this? Like, tell us a little bit about, where you started off, and just start from there. Like, what were you doing before you owned these companies?
Sure. So I've always been a go-getter, I guess you'd say. And I'll start from the youthful perspective, since you work with youth. I went to Sabino High School, as you mentioned. I played football, soccer, track, baseball, theater, and student council, but never did homework. So I had a 2.3 grade point average coming out of Sabino. I always knew I wanted to be successful. Also, I'm very cognizant to this day. I was going to say I am very cognizant to this day that I'm on this planet once, and I get one shot at this adventure, right? And I want to make the most of it. I mean, if you ask about what drives me, it's the fact that I know that I'm here temporarily, and I want to make the best possible life for myself and my family as I can. So when I got out of high school, all my friends were going to U of A, USC, Illinois, San Jose State, and I didn't get in anywhere. But yet I knew I wanted to be successful. So I'm always cognizant of my path and where my path has taken me. So I signed up for Pima, And Pima saved my shorts, man. I mean, they saved my shorts. They gave me a route to go. I didn't, being a Latino, from a Latino family, you know, my tata used to always say to me, mijito, we didn't come here for nothing, right? So we're here to accomplish something. He'd also tell me, it is your obligation and responsibility to outperform the previous generation. So I knew I was going to college. I didn't have a choice. Like, that's just what we do. We didn't come to this country just to, I don't know, get on welfare or hang out or, I don't know, be normal, right? We're here to succeed. So I not only went to Pima, I asked my dad if I could have a job in his Allstate insurance agency. And so prior to doing what I did throughout college, I worked in my dad's agency, you know, started from the bottom, learned how to sell policies, did really, really well. I became the director of the Cedric Dempsey Cancer Center run, which is the largest student organized running event in the US. I then, because I did a great job at that, I got a job with EGs my senior year. And I became the director of promotions for EGs my senior year of college. Long story short, my boss had a heart attack while we were at lunch one day. He had just sent me to CPR class. Myself and the manager, we actually saved his life by doing CPR with him. You never want to see somebody have a heart attack. That's horrible. Also motivates you to take care of your body that God gave you. But I ended up running the marketing department my senior year of college. And it was a defining moment because I realized if I can go to school full time and run EG's marketing department as a 22-year-old, I can do anything. So I put my resume out there. I'm giving you a long story short. I got a job offer from Warner Brothers in Burbank, California to go work on the marketing of their VHS line. Remember VHS tapes? At the same time, Allstate kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, you did a great job when you were with your dad. We'd like you to open an Allstate agency. And so I called my sister who was in LA and I said, should I come out to LA? I'm picturing like the black convertible Corvette and I'm driving through the Hollywood Hills and all that. And she said, you know, Edmund, you love Tucson and you love the people in Tucson. I think you should stay in Tucson because you can either be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond. And I said, I'll stay in Tucson. And I did. So you know, long story short, I opened my Allstate agency. I didn't want to be a normal Allstate agent. I picked up 30 car dealerships and told them anytime day or night you sell a car and you don't have insurance, call me, page me when we had pagers. And I called them on my huge brick cell phone. It's like, it was like this, man. It was huge. And I became the #2 auto producer in the country for Allstate. I ended up buying a car dealership to be like this guy named Jim Click. And then I learned vertical integration and ended up opening my own service department, warranty company, finance company, and real estate investment company. Then my sister ended up moving here and I invested and I ended up buying 3 Chevron gas stations and an Arco AM PM station with her. And yeah, I mean, just because it's an interesting part of your story, I owned 10 companies at one time, became businessman of the year. I was driving a Ferrari. I had almost more money than I knew what to do with. I became a Suzuki dealership. The economy turned in 08, beat the heck out of me. Suzuki ended up really kind of pulling the rug out from a lot of us, which caused a lot of debt. The economy crashed, bankrupted me, lost my house right before Christmas. Couldn't buy the groceries I wanted to buy, and then I had to go rebuild it from scratch again. And we've built it better than we had it before.
Wow.
Plus, I found my balance too. I started riding my bike, eating healthy, hanging out with my wife, hanging out with my kids, and just that is the recipe for success.
Wow, that's powerful, man. And I mean, it sounds like you went through quite a few challenges while you were building all this stuff, all these companies, and it seems like you learned a lot. What I hear a lot of people saying is that, oh man, like I failed and that's it. You know, they throw in the towel. And so tell us a little bit about, like, you know, through your failures, through all these experiences, like what would you say you learned from all these mistakes? And because it seems like you just kept going. Obviously you kept going, but like, you know, what do you feel you learned from all those mistakes and all those failures that you had along the way?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll be pretty blunt and telling you what I learned. I mean, first of all, it's the best education I've ever received because I know how to build a company. I know how to sustain a company. And I also know how to shut down a company, right? I know how to read P&L and balance sheets of companies that are failing that don't want to admit it to themselves, but I know what the telltale signs are. I also learned that with every human being has a fight or flight in them. And I learned that if you put my back against the wall, especially the fact that I'm responsible for my wife and my children, that I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that they're okay. I also learned that people don't give a crap if you fall down. They really don't. Like they're sympathetic. Oh, Andres, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. They don't really give a crap. What they really care about, what really defines you, is what you do next. Right? Right? I mean, they'll be like, pobrecito, you fell down, but they'll watch you and they want to see what you do next. And I had several people come to me in the community and they said to me, we know you're going to rebuild. We just know you'll rebuild. And oh boy, Andres, did I freaking rebuild. And I starved for the first year as I rebuilt. And it was tough. But I got to say, it's the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me clarity. There's sometimes where I sit down with people and they're really going through a hard time. They just went through a divorce. They just went through a bankruptcy. Then I tell them, I am so jealous of you. And they'll say, what? What do you mean you're jealous? I said, that's your moment of clarity, right? So when I was at my dealership in my gas station, I had like 50 or 60 employees all over the place, right? And it was noisy. There's noise, right? Because you're busy all the time and you don't really ever find your balance, right? And when it all went bankrupt and it was all gone, it was quiet, right? And so I got to stop for a second and say, okay. And it's very, very important to talk to yourself, right? They say the most intelligent people, the most sane people are the ones that talk to themselves. And every individual has an internal voice and an external voice. And the internal voice is the most important one because that's the one that you speak to yourself with. And I asked myself the question that everyone should ask, what the hell do you want? What do you want, man? And you know what I wanted is really simple. I wanted to work out in the morning and I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to shed the body fat, and you and I both have been larger in the past and we've lost weight, right? You look fantastic. So I want to be in shape, man. I want to look good. I want to look good naked, right? I want to make sure that I'm in shape. I want to make sure I'm eating healthy. I want to be one of those CEOs that works out in the morning. Number two is I want to hang out with my wife, right? She's my best friend that I haven't seen in years because I've been too busy working because as a Latino, it's macho, right? Like I work from dusk to dawn. I worked myself silly. And then I'd have one day off Sunday and I'd be asleep the whole time because I'm exhausted. But that was what macho people do, right? So I wanted to be a better husband. I wanted to hang out with my kids and actually get to know my kids because I was so busy and I left poor Wendy to raise my kids. I didn't see them as much, right? And fourth, I want to run one freaking company and I want to be great at it. I don't want to run 10 companies. I want to run one. So you can either be the Cheesecake Factory with a menu full of mediocre, right? Or you can be In-N-Out Burger and know how to make a great freaking burger, fries, shake, right? I wanted to run one company and be fantastic at it. And really number four is I wanted to give back to my community because that's where my family lives and my business thrives. And I just wanted to keep it really simple. But if I didn't get to reinvent myself, I wouldn't be where I am today. If I wouldn't have gone bankrupt and learned the lessons that I learned, I wouldn't be at where I'm at today. So it was a very valuable lesson. And I hope people that are listening realize that when you fall down, you have to ask yourself, do I have fight or flight? And then they have to realize no one's going to help you but you in the end. And what you tell yourself your reality is, that's truly your reality. Right? If you tell yourself you're a freaking champion, you'll be a champion. If you hang out with other champions, there's an old saying, if you hang out with 6 millionaires, you'll be the 7th. At the same time, if you hang out with 6 pieces of crap, you'll be the 7th.
That's so real. Keeping it real here with Edmund. That's something that's really stuck with me, man. Like that I still remember to this day. It's me number 1, family number 2, business number 3, community number 4. Because if I'm not taken care of, I cannot take care of the family, the business, or the community. That has stuck with me for forever, man. Like you told me that, I want to say like 4 years ago. I don't know. We've known each other for quite some time now. And yeah. I still remember to this day that saying, and I use it with my clients as well. And they're like, wow, it makes total sense. Like, yeah, when I'm not taken care of, I'm yelling at my kids. When I'm not taken care of, I'm procrastinating. When I'm not taken care of, I help the community, but I'm resentful and I'm angry because nobody appreciates it, And it's this, these 4 little tips right here, yet powerful tips to remember that you're number 1. If you're not taken care of, you cannot take care of the rest of the people. So yeah, I really want to say thank you for, sharing that gem right there. Was so powerful. And, you mentioned something that really caught my attention when you said your environment and the people that you're around. that it really does make an impact in the way that we are going to evolve, or maybe if we're going to stay the same or we're going to fail. And tell me a little bit about how that has helped you in your life to have a powerful environment that I know you hang out with people who are very powerful. And, can you tell me a few mentors that have helped you out tremendously in your life?
Yeah, and I'll give you the blunt version. So I love me a lot. I really love me a lot. I'm my biggest freaking fan, right? And some people might listen to me going, well, you're self-centered, man. No. I love me a lot, right? And no one's gonna love me more than I love me. And if you don't love yourself a lot and you're not listening to this right now, then maybe you don't love yourself. You probably need to take a step back and you need to have a great conversation with yourself. Maybe align what your goals are with what you're actually doing every single day, right? There's lots of wants out there, but there's even lots of needs out there. But what are you focused on? Like, what's your goal? What do you want every single day, right? So, gosh, in regards to mentors, huge. It's huge. Your environment, huge. When I say I love myself, I'm really picky who I'm around. I'm very, very picky of who I let into my head, right? If you're crap, I don't want you in my head. I don't want you around me. I'm that picky. Will I be kind to everyone around me? Yes. Will I love my fellow human beings? Absolutely. But if you're crap, you will not have influence on me. I don't want to be around you. If you're an amazing champion, I would like to have lunch with you. I would like to talk with you. I would like to keep in touch with you. I want absolute champions around me. So in regards to that, I'll back up a step. And I'm being really blunt here because it's you, and I know you have fabulous people listening to you that want to improve themselves. I believe there's 4 different types of people in this world. There's 4 different types of people. Number 1 is the first person really just doesn't know a lot. Maybe they just grew up in an area where no one knew a lot, or they've been in an environment where people don't know a lot, and they just don't know a lot, right? They just don't know, right? They just don't know. I don't know. They've been living under a rock. The second person is the majority of our population. They know, I know I should eat healthy. I know I should exercise. I know I should go to school and do my homework. I know I should work hard when I go to work. They just don't do it. And they do some of it, right? But they just, for the most part, don't do it. They don't have the freaking strength or the goals. They just don't focus on it, right? The third is the majority of your successful people. And success can be measured in multiple areas, whether it's wealth, whether it's fitness, whether it's family, whether it's simply their love for themselves, right? The third is the majority of your successful people. And those are people that actually know that I should eat healthy. I should get 8 hours of sleep. I should travel. I should read. I should take care of myself and love the people around me. And they actually do it, right? So it doesn't know anything, knows but doesn't do it, knows it for the most part does it. I'm in this category, the 4th category. And the 4th category is I aggressively seek out the best possible way to do things. I aggressively seek out education that will improve me, period. Because I get one shot at this. I'm 48 years old. I'll be 48 once. And when that's over with, I'll be 49, right? And every year when New Year's comes, every year should be the best year of your life, right? Every year should be the best year of your life. And I aggressively seek out. Let me give you some examples. So I'm in this piece of real estate that I own. There's 11,000 square foot campus on Campbell. I wanted to learn how to purchase something like this. So I approached George Larson of Larson Baker and asked if he would mentor me in regard to how to purchase real estate. And he was amazing. I learned things that I couldn't have figured out on my own. Remember when I went bankrupt and I had to go rebuild? Well, imagine if somebody had come to me now that was at the beginning of their journey and said, tell me how you went bankrupt and how you rebuilt. And they might hear where I stepped in the doo-doo along the way, right? And they may say, well, I don't need to step in that doo-doo because Edmund already did it. And he's telling me where not to step. What I would tell them is don't over leverage yourself, right? Don't grow too fast, right? There's lots of different lessons you'd learn. So I have 4 mentors in my life. Jim Click, you've probably heard of him before, Fletcher McCusker, Peter Marcus, Ross McAllister. And I ask for their time. And I ask if I can sit with them and I can learn as much as I can from them. I just went to lunch. I'm going to name drop him on a podcast by the guy by the name of Austin Yamada. And I didn't know Austin. I met him at a restaurant. He seemed really interesting. He just started the Applied Research Corporation for the University of Arizona, which is a really interesting venture that U of A is going. And I met him, thought he was interesting, asked him to lunch. He and I had lunch today, and I learned all about the CIA, the FBI, clearances through the government. I just blew my mind. And that's just me learning and improving myself. So who you hang out with is everything. Because if they have low standards, you have low standards. If they have high standards, you too will have high standards. It's really that simple, right? And so if I'm around a gym clique and my world could have been this big, but I went and described my world or my thoughts or my goals, and clique blew my world up and said, no, think like this, right? Then I went to Fletcher, and Fletcher's like, think like this. Peter's like, think like this, but make sure you're taking care of yourself financially. And Ross says, think like this. After a while, your world is this freaking big, and you're challenging yourself every single day because they've expanded your mind. But what if I was with people that thought like this? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. And after a while, you look back and you have regrets. I absolutely, God, I just can't stand that, right? We have to continue to dream big and push ourselves and believe you're on this planet once for a very short time. And I want to make the most of it. And if there's something in my life I don't like, well, go freaking change it. Go change it. Well, somebody won't let me. Bull crap. Just go change it. Go figure it out. And if somebody looks like they're wiser in a certain category than you are, go sit down with them and pick their brain and figure another way how to do something.
Wow, man, that was so powerful and so good. Totally agree with you on that. And I know that me just being right here in this interview with you, I'm motivated, and I'm motivated to do more because of your presence. I mean, just a man's presence alone can inspire and even remind people of, like, you know what? Yeah, man, I know I can dream bigger. I mean, if Edmund has done it and he can do it, then I can do it too. You know, like, being around those people makes you believe more, you know, and I really believe that being around people like yourself makes me believe bigger and better. And also it helps me, you know, something that has helped me out too, being around people like yourself, is being a better human being, which is beautiful to be around people like you, other mentors that I've had in my life, you know, like Enrique, who passed away. I mean, being around people like him made me want to be better, made me want to do better. So I definitely agree with you on that 100%. And I know that you said that, hey, I want to learn from these people. I want to learn on what not to do, but then also I want to learn and grow my knowledge of, like you said, you met that guy, you learned about the CIA, you learn about all these amazing organizations and like the government and all this stuff. And for the people that are listening that, you know, they've been like on the fence, they're thinking about like, oh, I want to start that business, I want to pursue that goal, that dream. Like, what are the 1 to 3 tips that you would give them if you could give them I mean, you have so many tips, I know that, but if you could give them like 3 gems like that you could give them, what would that be?
Gosh, I would say number 1, have a good, solid conversation with yourself and a really positive affirmation, talking about where you want to be, where you want to go, what kind of person you want to be. Like, you have to tell your own story to yourself, right? Because what you tell yourself, you will believe. If I stare in the mirror every day and say, I'm a piece of crap, I'm a piece of crap, I'm a piece of crap, well, guess what? After a while, I'll be a piece of crap. However, that works on the other side. I'm a freaking champion. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to accomplish. At the same time, one thing I can't stand the hope program. Well, I just hope it all works out, Andres. I hope it's going to work. Hell no. Have a strategy, have a plan, think about where you're going and how it's going to take to accomplish what's it going to take to accomplish that. That's number 1. Number 2, you got to find mentors. I would go speak to a group of like 50 young people. Hell, it's probably part of the reason how I probably met you. I'd go talk to like 50 young people in a room, and at the very end, I'd say, you guys got to find mentors. And I know it's not that easy. So everyone, write my cell number down. If you want to go to coffee or you want to go to lunch, here's my number. You call me, I'll have a conversation with you, right? And folks like yourself that are younger than me, we'd sit down and have a conversation. And I love making new friends. You make new friends, you have a conversation. And when somebody really wants it, like when I sit with you, you want to improve. So when it comes to a mentor, you do have to be worthy, right? I can't go sit with a Jim Click and I can't listen to him over and over again and not take his advice. And I got to tell you, he's so wise when it comes to business. If Click, Humberto Lopez, or like a Peter Marquez or a George Larson, if they tell me to do something and they're all kind of telling me the same thing, I don't even analyze it, man. I just go do it. Right. And I've learned so many things on the business side and financially, or even there's times where, you know, there's times where you go to your mentor just to get kind of a smacking upside the head. There's been times where I know I'm not on track on something. I did it the other day. I'll even tell you what it was. I'm in the middle of this building and I'm doing a build out. My budget's going over. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going through my cash. And I never want, because of my bankruptcy, I'm like leery of debt and I don't want to go get a credit line and all this kind of stuff. So I call Ross McAllister, who has 250 million in apartment complexes. And I say, can we go to lunch so I can talk to you about something? He's like, sure, man. I meet him at a Say's Taco down the street. And I'm like, let me just tell you what's happening. Like, here's my original budget. Here's my build out. Here's kind of some issues I found out. Here's some upgrades I did. I'm kind of running short on cash. I don't like the freaking credit lines, blah, blah, blah. And I basically went there so I could stick my face out and he could just go, bam. He didn't really hit me, but I knew he was going to smack me and tell me, go get yourself a credit line as a backup. And I literally went out to the parking lot. I called my bank and I'm like, I need a credit line. And because I've rebuilt since that bankruptcy, I got one right on the phone before I left the parking lot. That I didn't even have to use it, but at least but so there's times where you need to get smacked upside the head. And also for any of you young kids out there, you all have one of these, right? There's my son running track. There, you all have a phone. So without my phone, if I put my phone down, I'm a regular human being, right? If I take this supercomputer that we're all carrying nowadays and I put it here, I'm now superhuman. I have access to all the information on the planet going back 100 years or a couple hundred years or 1,000 years. Like I have all the information here. If I want to learn how to buy a house, if I want to learn how to open a retirement account, if I want to learn how to interest compounds, if I want to learn how to, hell, go meet a girl, anything. I can YouTube it, I can TikTok it, anything. So I want to learn how to travel to London. I can TikTok it, whatever. You can Google it. You have supercomputers in your hand. Stop watching freaking, naked lady videos or whatever everyone's watching. I don't know what you're watching, but you have a supercomputer. So last night, it's funny, my wife was on she went to this wine dinner thing with her friends last night. And she's like, what did you do tonight? And I said, it's funny, when you're not home, I watch YouTube. She's like, YouTube? Like, what are you watching? Like funny videos? I said, no. You know how much knowledge is on YouTube? Oh my gosh. I was watching this guy named Bobby, forget Bobby's last name, but he was talking about how to buy organic food and to not buy the chemicals that are at the grocery stores. And he was telling you exactly, Bobby Parrish, he was telling you what not to buy and what to buy at the grocery stores. It was amazing. It was an amazing education. And that was just me sitting on the couch. It's amazing what you can do. I mean, so that'd be my advice. Find some mentors, have some great positive conversations with yourself, and leverage the tools that you have.
I love that. Yeah, man, absolutely. I absolutely love these strategies, and I've implemented them myself, with the mentors, being around people like you, being around people like John, Javier. I have so many amazing mentors that are doing better than me. That's the thing. I want to be around dudes that are like way better than me, because if I'm the most interesting person in the room, I'm in the wrong group. So I want to be around, powerhouses like yourself. That's why I really enjoy conversations with you like this. And I agree, my God, this phone has so much information. I learned how to get paid as a speaker and a coach through YouTube. That's how I learned. That's how, and it's the YouTube University. Yeah. And then the self-talk, my goodness, I talk about this all the time. I mean, as you can see, believing in yourself. Like, it's so important to believe in yourself. I love this, man. And just to end the show here, it's been so motivating and inspiring. I can't believe 30 minutes have gone by like that.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, like, what's next for you, Edmund?
Wow, I don't know how deep I should get for you here, but I will continue to work on my physical and mental well-being. Continue to educate myself in regards to the foods that I eat, the exercise that I do, make sure that I get quiet time so that I can have more time to myself. I want to make sure that I'm continually reading books. I just downloaded Ready Player One, which I'm excited to listen to. I heard it's better than the movie. Please continue to educate yourself. My son is going to run at the Pac-12 championships for the U of A, track and field next week. That's next for us. I'm about to take my kids after track's done to 7 countries in Europe, as I continue to show them the world. And I always tell them that on those trips, you owe me, right? You don't owe me money, but you owe me an experience and knowledge as you learn about these countries. And we go into the Louvre, we go into, the British Museum, et cetera. You owe me your perspective of the world. That's next for me. Honestly, like deep wise, I'm working on a pretty aggressive wealth strategy right now. One of my mentors said something to me super powerful the other day. He said to me, and it was not Jim Click. So just in case you're listening and you think it's Click. And one of my mentors said, no one can ever hurt me again. I said, what? He said, no one can ever hurt me again. I said, what do you mean? He's like, I don't owe a penny to anyone.
Mm.
I own my house. I own my business. I own my cars. I have millions in the bank. And this is a guy nobody's ever heard of in this video, but he said, no one can ever hurt me again. So when you really study the wealth of these individuals, and it doesn't matter whether you make 40 grand a year or $4 million a year, if you own your assets, you are free. And so I have an aggressive wealth strategy that I study pretty much daily as I look to aggressively snowball and cut debt out of my life so that I never have to ever contemplate bankruptcy like I had it back in 2009. So that's what I'm working on, is a wealth strategy and traveling and really spending time with my family. And right now I'm chairman of the Tucson Metro Chamber. I'm on the SALC board. I'm on Rio Nuevo. I'll continue to maximize those economic development boards because that's my passion. And I want to see Tucson continue to say yes to deals. I'd like to see Tucson continue to modernize while we're still cognizant of our history and our culture. But I want to see Tucson become more competitive with other cities. I want to see higher paying jobs come here. So that's what I'm working on.
Beautiful, man. Well said. And Edmund, just thank you again for being on the show, man. Today, I'm sure that the audience, I myself, I know I got a lot of gems here. Definitely going to run through this again and just start writing it down, like all that you shared today. But I just want to say thank you. And thank you for everybody that's watching the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast. We will be having on more powerhouses like Edmund. So stay tuned for the next show. Have a great day. Peace.